All right, how's it going out there, folks? Welcome back here to a Tuesday night. It is 10:09 p.m. California time. August 12th, 2025 is the date. Latest activity shows a 1.6 here on the Earthquake 3D globe. Also, looks like a 4-pointer across the area of Japan. Seen a little bit of uptick there across that region of the, looks like the southern end here of the Kuril-Kamchatka Trench. This latest one, though, that 4-pointer looks like it's a little bit further south there into the Japan Trench. Either way, a little slight uptick there. Still seeing some aftershock sequences up north where that 8.8 struck back in July. The latest one in this area, 4.9, a number of 4s and 5s throughout the last 24-hour period. Nothing of any elevated activity in terms of large aftershock, but that movement could definitely continue for quite a while. Washington got a number of earthquakes out here across the Seattle area, all scattered out and about. This one here fairly deep, 27 miles deep into the Cascadia subduction zone. Now that does sit offshore of the Washington area. They sit, the Washington area is pretty much towards the northern end of the Cascadia subduction zone. Again, that sits just offshore here. And there's definitely a couple deeper quakes there. Let's go ahead and check out the Cascadia tremor map here real quick, see what we got going on. Wouldn't be surprised. Well, no tremor activity up there right now, but we are seeing earthquake activity. 43 epicenters of tremor underneath the area of, looks like the northern coast of Oregon. So there's not a whole lot going on up here around Oregon right now, but Washington's seen a handful of earthquakes. Also over here around the... Ooh, I'm not even sure how you would pronounce that, but I'll let you guys have at it. A little 1.1 and a little 0.5 this morning. Nothing big. I do want to double check Mount Rainier over here. I know they're stating that the swarm's just about done or has come to a halt. I do like to double check that when they claim that. This is up to the current time period here. This is August 13th, UTC time, 22, so just after 10 o'clock here, West Coast time. And, I'm still seeing earthquake activity out there. And it's well defined as well. It's not, just rock fall or ice or whatever they're talking about, claiming that it is. Let's see if there's anything new out here. This was put out. This was actually put out. Was it put out today? Let's see. No, it was put out last night, but they do have the data of today. I forgot. It was put out a little late. But nothing really new in terms of earthquake numbers out here. They're stating, that the events that we're seeing on the seismograph stations are simply surface events, meaning that it's rockfall, ice, strong winds, even small landslides. But I don't know. When I look at this date here on the last UTC date, that's going to be today's time period. It was this morning and this afternoon. If you look at this and compare it to back when the swarm started on July 8th, I believe, is when it really ramped up right here. Well, obviously there's a lot more earthquake activity, right? But I would say it's half of what we're seeing. We were seeing hundreds and hundreds of earthquakes there in just a short amount of time period. If I recall, there was hundreds around each hour. So, and the majority of those they were not able to locate. That's why we have a different number in terms of the located events compared to the events in general. I think there's close to 11,000, at least as of the 1st of August. I'm sure it's way over that by now. Just had a little hair hanging on my glasses. That's pretty annoying. But if you can compare this here to when the swarm started there back in July to today's time frame, go back one more day, it's not as active, but these are all earthquakes. Those are what the earthquakes look like, and it's just, they're claiming that there was only a little 0.4 and a little 0.5 early this morning. That was it, nothing else. So I'm going to check that every night. Let's see if the other seismograph station here got pulled up. or got put back online here. There was two distinct stations I was looking at. This one here is the one I just showed you. That's towards the northern edge here, Mount Rainier Volcano in Washington. That's where the swarm ended up migrating off to. Let's see if this one's working. Yeah, okay, so this one is back online. There is what looks like some events out there, even showing up on this one. This one's still offline. So there's definitely some type of event still going on. These look a little bit different though, and it may be different because this is at a different area. It's on the southwestern side of the volcano, or western side here. The other one's over here to the northeast. So we'll continue to watch that, folks. I don't see any signs of any magma movement, but I still see earthquake activity, and at least that's what it looks like. I've been looking at these graphs for a long time. One earthquake over here across the Cascadia, very shallow crustal quake. That's interesting here. They got it set. Oh, I wonder if this has been reviewed or not. How could that be above sea level? It has been reviewed. That's interesting. A negative 0.4. If this was at the surface level, this is saying that it happened above the surface. That's kind of weird there. So a little 1.5. That's rather odd. A couple earthquakes down south here as well, around Petrolia. That's where the seismograph station is I normally show you. Looks like they decided to go offline at the same time. 2.5 and a 1.2 just before noon here. Got let's see what we got around the Bay Area. Really nothing happening around the San Francisco Bay. Southern California here, nothing above 2.5. Mainly smaller microquake activity out here that I can see there on the map for now. Yellowstone National Park, nothing else out there aside from a little swarming. Well, I wouldn't even call that a little swarm. There's a little sequence of small earthquakes out there around the Hebgen Lake Estates. Nothing big, very small earthquake activity. Far as Yellowstone National Park itself, the caldera looks pretty quiet there. Really nothing showing up, but I am going to double check that just to verify, because similar to what we're seeing with Mount Rainier, there's still earthquake activity occurring there, but not being reported. Could happen at this super volcano as well. Looks like there's a couple events here. That's towards the western side. I wonder, let's see what this one picks up. Yeah, a couple very small spikes. There's one here earlier this evening, but I don't see any major swarm or anything like that going on there across Yellowstone. Oil fields of Texas, pretty active out here. 33 earthquakes, a bunch of 2s and 1s. New Madrid seismic zone, pretty quiet, and there's a couple earthquakes there from this morning out around the Tennessee area. All right, so let's see what we got here in the last 24 hours. That's largest magnitude is going to go to a 6.3 here. In the Indonesia area, there were some deeper quakes over here following this movement. I do not see any adjustment yet. But look at, following the 6.3 there this morning, we've seen a couple aftershocks, and then we started to get these deeper quakes over here around the Banda Sea. We had 2 of them back to back, and then another shallow adjustment over here, and then a few hours later some deeper quakes here into the Banda Sea. So technically that's 3 moderate-sized earthquakes way down there, about 325 miles deep underneath this area. That is some super deep earthquake activity, and I don't see anything resulting from that deep earthquake activity yet. But we do need to be on guard across that area. That region can see some big earthquakes. Just going to show you guys here real quick, 7.0 and above. And there, I don't think it'd be too cluttered out there, but I do want to check this region out real quick. It's right around the Banda Sea, so we're going to go. Let me double check that and verify it. Yeah, it's just right around the plate boundary there, so check that out real quick. And of course, the Java Trench, we all know that there can definitely be some big earthquakes out there. Excuse me. So let's go ahead and check this out real quick, see what we have. So there is the area of interest where all those deeper quakes are stirring up right now. Banda C right here. Largest magnitude Banda C earthquake, that was over here to the east along the plate boundary, 8.5 back in 1938. Man, a lot of these 8-pointers, lots of years have passed. I guess the most recent, somewhat large one, going to be this 7.6 over here in that cluster. That's back in 2023. But let me tell you, they can get bigger than that. That earthquake that we're seeing right now, that deeper quake activity, a little bit further to the southwest here, right around in this region, it's fairly absent of large earthquake activity. So maybe that might fill in. We'll have to watch that. Either way, you know, we can get some big earthquakes out there in the 8 range, and that's pretty much considered mega quake territory. So watch this area closely. I don't really see any migration going on westward, but that could always happen as well. In fact, this looks super quiet here across this area right now. Nothing showing up here on the map across this area. Interesting. So, all right, some further aftershock sequences there from that 6-pointer a number of days ago there around Turkey. The Atlantic Ocean fairly quiet, aside from a couple smaller quakes out there, one north of Greenland as well, a little 4.4. Some new movement down here across the South America area, 3.2, just off the coast there of Chile, right there in the red flag. Also a little bit of larger movement up around Peru. That looks like a 5-pointer up here. Somewhat deep into the subduction zone of the Peru-Chile Trench. That's a major, lengthy subduction zone. In fact, down here across the coast of Chile, along this segment, that's where we've seen the world's largest ever recorded earthquake, a 9.5 back in 1960, if I remember the date correct. That was a big one. Nothing like that right now, but do got to watch some of these deeper quakes out here along that subduction zone, because they can get, some of these quakes can get pretty big. Middle America Trench up here. Let's see what we got going on. Nothing shown up on the USGS map, but there's a number of earthquakes there. Looks like a... Let's see here. Is a... Oh, well... Looks like we just lost the EMSC model here. Right? Because right now, I'm only seeing the USGS. I'm only seeing the USGS out here now. Remember, I just showed you guys the aftershock sequences up here. They just went offline, it looks like here. At least off the globe, anyway. I was wondering where all the international quake activity went to. Interesting. While I'm doing a live update, that takes place. Let's see what we got here. They are still up and running as far as the official EMSC data goes. There's that one earthquake around the Japan Trench, fairly recent, little 4-pointer. Yeah, I was looking at some of this migration here, but it disappeared off the globe as soon as I started talking about it. All right, well, it should fix itself because I didn't change it. Let's see here. The feeds are still set for the USGS 7-day EMSC World Last 100. And then, of course, I can... Oh, there we go. Just, you guys see that? Look, it just came back online. All right, that's just weird. All right, so no worries. We're back to normal. Back into business here, it looks like. There's those 2 quakes I was talking about there in the Middle America Trench. I was saying to watch that area because we've seen a number of earthquakes across that region recently. It's going to be this area down here. Last 30 days, a pretty decent cluster off the coast there of Guatemala and southern Mexico. A couple different distinct swarms out here along that subduction zone that's capable of producing mega quakes out here. All right, quick glance here at the Kilauea volcano. See what's going on out there real quick. See if there's anything of any change. I don't think we're close to an eruption yet. That's why I want to check the deformation data, see how we're looking. Yeah, we got a number of days here before we even get close to the previous inflation event level. But we're climbing. There's been no deviation off of that. That's for sure. We'll see that return to episode number 31 here in a number of days. Space weather activity starting to go down now that we lost 2 active regions out there on the far side of the sun, the western limb. We're left with a couple different sunspots. Let's see what we got here. This one, this one was looking a little promising this morning. Now we're starting to get a little separation cut here in that core. Maybe this area, but man, everything looks like it's just dying off out here. As far as these other sunspots that are going to be facing us for a number of days. So flare threats probably going to drop here unless something pops up overnight as far as any major sunspot growth out there. 55% chance there for an M flare, 10% for the X flare right now. No major auroras there in the forecast for now. Here we got some meteors to look for tonight, but I am not going to stay up for that and fight the mosquitoes. It's just not worth it. Every time I go out there and look for the the meteor shower, and it's supposed to be the peak tonight, it turns into a mosquito fest out there. I get more bites than I do meteors. So yeah, we'll just skip on that. But if you're out there, good luck on that. Let's go ahead and check out the hurricane activity real quick here. See if we got any change. This is a GFS model. Tropical system out there in the Atlantic. Looks like it's going to stay way offshore, so that is good news there. That's a GFS model. EMSC model here. ECMWF, not EMSC. It's still the European model, but it's not earthquakes. But there's this showing. Looks like it's going to get caught up here in that pressure gradient. Probably the same thing, but we'll know a little bit more once we get closer to that time period. Either way, it's a tropical system out there. Let's see what the spaghetti models are talking about. It's Erin, Tropical Storm Erin here. Spaghetti models fairly in agreement here with that northward curve and then off towards back to the east here. So that's good news for this area. I don't see anything that tells me otherwise that it's going to head south, but you just never know. I've seen some weird stuff happen out there. Should stay north there of the Puerto Rico area and the Dominican Republic. This is a cone of uncertainty, but it will become a major hurricane. And of course, any deviation off of that path could obviously affect the land here. But if anything, I think it's going to get pulled up northward. I don't think it's going to hit the Bermuda area. It should stay to the west, but we'll see what happens there as we get a little bit closer to that time period. All right, seismograph stations all back online. A couple spikes there in Southern California. There's really not a whole lot going on out here across the West Coast right now. But Washington, the tremor activity completely stopped up there. Now we're getting earthquake activity all over the place. Bunch of twos, nothing big, but there's a handful of deeper quakes here that is associated with the Cascadia subduction zone at that level. And up into Alaska here, I know I had a few folks asking to cover more of Alaska activity. Alaska, similar to California, right? Except for, a couple different major differences here. The main one is going to be that type of plate boundary here. The San Andreas Fault, a transform boundary where the plates are sliding past one another. Up here, major subduction zone. So the earthquakes can get much bigger up here across that Aleutian Trench and the Gulf here of Alaska. And there's other fault systems that sit well inland that are capable of large earthquakes as well. But the similarities is that they get a lot of microquake activity out here. I don't see anything of abnormal 2.5 and above movement right now. This is very typical for the Alaska day. As far as the volcano activity goes up there, there's a number of volcanoes that are somewhat monitored. You got spur up here. I don't think we've seen anything new with this, but we'll double check and see what we got. Sitting at a yellow in advisory there. This was put out August 12th. Low-level unrest continues at Mount Spur with occasional small earthquakes occurring beneath the volcano. Nothing being observed in mostly clear satellite or webcam imagery over the past day. So a little bit of earthquake activity. Nothing of any signs of eruption activity yet, but it could happen. You just never know. Let's see, anything else major going on? New Zealand, little earthquake down there actually it looks like it's, that's probably not the best spot. That looks like it's right on the Alpine fault there. 3.3, this area could be well overdue there for producing a big earthquake. It's been a hot spot of movement here recently, north and south of this area, but that is fairly well primed for some big earthquake activity. It's just a matter of time. Just like California, right? It's all about time. Well, I think it's my bedtime, so I'm going to call it a night, folks. Have yourself a wonderful Tuesday night. We will see you back out here for the Wednesday morning update, something we've been doing here for many years. We try to do 2 updates a day, sometimes more if there's busy stuff going on, sometimes less, but we try to keep it around 2 on average, just providing daily updates here on everything that's happening around the globe and also in the space weather world. So we'll catch you guys out here in the morning. Have yourself a wonderful evening. Stay safe out there.